What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Aviation. Hope you're having a fantastic day today. And today we have massive unboxing number 66 for you all. I hope each and every one of you are excited for today's video. We have a bunch of really cool models, a bunch of single model purchases here from eBay, and safe to say I'm glad that we were able to have the opportunity to get back in the eBay group, and we really have a wide variety in today's unboxing. We have some new models, we have some old models, we have some modern models, we have some retro models, and we're really kind of all over the place. And that's really going to be the theme of today's video, because I'm not going to unbox these in any particular order. I'm just going to take the boxes and I'm just going to go one by one. So I really hope all of you are excited for this today. Again, there's some really cool planes in here, and there's definitely going to be some surprises throughout. So let's just go ahead and get started. And really the big picture here was, I just went on eBay one day and I filtered out models that were below $35, and that's the majority of what we have here, models that are below the $35 mark. So again, really excited to get started here today, and I hope all of you are excited to see what I have in the pipeline for you all. So yeah, I really don't know what the first model is, so I'll kind of tell you all the reasoning and logic as we find out what it's going to be. So let's just go ahead and pop the top. And we are going to start with a really good one. Man, okay, so it's kind of like Christmas. But I was finally able to get this for a great deal on eBay. I believe it was like $50. You can see it there. The Panda models 1:400 scale American Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-11. So this was one that I missed out on previously from pre-orders. Excited to get back in the groove of our release reaction live stream so that this doesn't happen again. But nevertheless, I wasn't able to get it in time. So it sold out, and I was pretty, not bummed out, but I was, really wanting it. I have the GeminiJets version, so, it wasn't the end of the world, but fortunately I was able to get one for like $50, so great price here. Let me go ahead and get all these other boxes out of here. I apologize about that. This is a, outdoor setup takes some time to get used to compared to what we normally do. So now that we have our first model here, I'm just gonna go ahead and get it situated so that we can take a look at it. So again, this is the American Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-11 by Panda. This is a really high detailed model, really high quality collectible, and I'm really excited to take a look at this for you all. So let's not waste any further time. We gotta get started, everybody. So we have MD-11 here in top left, McDonnell Douglas. Here's the American Airlines CGI for the MD-11. Thank you for flying American Airlines. You have their classic Eagle logo here in the background, and the luxury liner, because all the American Airlines aircraft, the wide bodies, were luxury liners during this time. It's 1761 Romeo, very unique registrations here. This model definitely has some weight on it, and the item number is 62452. So yeah, very similar box design to NG, I would say, just more, not sophisticated, but different compared to that. And there it is, everybody. That is a great looking aircraft. I'm so excited I'm finally able to get this. So yeah, the big takeaway compared to the GeminiJets releases is just the amount of detail that this aircraft exhibits. It is quite impressive compared to the previous offerings that have been made in the scale. So no doubt just really symbolizes, and I talked about this in the video that I released a couple weeks ago, really symbolizes the progression in the 1:400 landscape. And models like this really go to show, what we're capable of doing in the scale. So I think this is definitely a testament, and yeah, I really like that grass in the background. I think it adds some nice depth here to the review. But anyway, apologies, thank you all for bearing with me here. The American Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-11 in the 1:400 scale. This is an absolutely stunning aircraft. This is going to be a great addition for the collection, and safe to say that I'm excited to have it. So without any further delay, let's not waste any further time, zoom in on the airframe and go ahead and get started. So here we have the cockpit windows along with the nose cone. Love the classic American livery. You got the navy, the white, and the red, and then obviously a beautifully designed nose. You have the MD-11 luxury liner titles right here below the L1 door. Definitely note the width of the door. It's definitely unique. Here's the nose landing gear as well. Got the polished fuselage here too, so that looks quite nice. You got a couple of stubs for the beacons and so forth. Got the first Wi-Fi box there, and then the American Airlines billboard title is much more spread out and larger than its counterpart aircraft for the most part. The American Airlines livery did have a couple of slight iterations as well, so it was tightened up later on. But anyway, on the MD-11 especially, it's very noticeable. It's printing. So anyway, so first class, a little bit of business up here, and then we get the economy plus. I think premium economy did exist at this time. Taking a look here at the middle portion of the aircraft, you have some additional passenger windows. You have the emergency exit door over the wing, the L3 door in other words. You also have the engines, which are really nicely detailed, and I think that's a big takeaway from this aircraft, is just how precise those engines are. So definitely really get a good look at those. They look quite nice. And here is the side of the aircraft as well. It looks really good. You can kind of see that window up there at the top, or rather, not window, but the engine, excuse me. You can see all the passenger windows through here. Then you also have the antenna there in the middle of the fuselage too. The wing looks really nice. You can see the details there. I'm gonna go ahead and give you all a little bit more aperture so that's not too dark. I apologize if the wind's picking up by the mic. I don't think it should be too bad, but I apologize in advance if so. But anyway, you can see the main landing gear there. Of course, the MD-11 has that middle landing gear, so possibly one of the coolest aspects, along with the little wingtip here. And I love the detail of the navy, white, and red for American. That is super impressive. So good job, Panda, for making that a reality. That's so cool. Again, 1761 Romeo is the registration. Here's the tail. You got the AA logo, US flag, and all those applicable details. Take a look at that engine exhaust as well, the APU. It's very impressive. And when I turn these aircraft, I like to give you all a good high-level overview of kind of what that looks like. Right side of the aircraft, just as impressive. This time, though, you got the cargo doors, and you also got one in the back, too. This will definitely be a nice asset for the Retro Dallas project and in the long term. Top of the aircraft looks really nice. We got to get the main Dallas back, of course, first, which I'm hopeful to make that a reality soon. And then you can see the stand hole there, the main landing gears, and you also have the stub antenna in the back. So all this looks really nice. This is a phenomenal effort, and this is definitely a really good aircraft to start. So very happy with that, and overall, I think that is a really good one. Next aircraft, I have no idea, but that's why we're here, right? We're here to have fun, and let me know if you all kind of like this mystery vibe. I think it's kind of cool because, you know, I give you all kind of hints as we unbox it, but, you know, I'm able to just flat explain it once we get into it. So let me see if I can get this off here successfully. This is a very well packaged box. That is some of the, you know, intricate details here of the boxes, is getting the tape off. That's definitely one of the biggest parts. There we go. That should really help us out there. Let me see if I can get it going here. Apologize about the tough framing here, but let me see if I can. There we go. That should do it. Let's see what we have. Okay, this is actually kind of a cool one. Excited to have this aircraft. I did have a version of this, and then I sold it, and then I got it back. So this is kind of a cool one, and we'll have a couple of these here in today's video. This is the GeminiJets 1:400 scale Delta Airlines Boeing 737-900ERs. So these have actually become quite valuable over the last several years. I know Gemini did a release maybe a year or two ago. I can't remember exactly when. I don't know if this one's exactly it, but I'll be sure to put on editing which version this is. But anyway, I wanted to get another one of these because, well, first off, they flop. I'm just kidding. But I want to get another one because they are pretty popular. And between Great Plains and even Albuquerque at one point had, I think, 2 or 3 of these on the ground at once, regularly. I just wanted to have another one to be ready. I sold my GeminiJets release when that NG came out, and I don't think that was a terrible choice, but just considering the, you know, amount of volume that these can have. This is 2023, that sounds about right. So this is the 2023 release. I just thought that getting another one would be a really good addition for $30. That's all this was, and these usually can go upwards of 50, 60 bucks. So I thought this was way too good of a deal to pass up, and yeah, this will help for the relief of the collection. So yeah, very happy to have this aircraft back, just a different version of it this time. This mold's pretty solid for the most part. There's obviously some deficiencies, and in a perfect world, I'd love a second NG, but I got 2 A321s, not 2 739s, which that was a good choice for Phoenix at that time. I actually got 3 initially. That was pretty fun, but sold 1 because 3 was just too much for this Great Plains. Now I probably would have had a different opinion on that. But anyway, here it is, the Delta Airlines Boeing 737-900ER by GeminiJets 2023. And for 30 bucks, I definitely think this is a very high quality addition to the collection, and very excited to have it in quite a few ways. So let me get it situated here. Go ahead and zoom in, and let's see. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop that aperture a little bit more because I mean, it's just so bright out here that the camera really likes to not overexpose it, but the white on white, you know, if I had a board out here, it would be a little bit better. I gotta, let me know if you all would like to see the boards in the massive unboxings. It's just a little bit more to situate it, but I did it in the AI unboxing. I thought it went pretty well, so let me know if you all would like to see that. But anyway, we are a little bit crooked here, so let me get that situated, get this pointed down a little bit more, and here we go for the Delta Airlines Boeing 737-900ER by Gemini. Cockpit windows here with the nose cone, nose landing gear door. Here's the SkyTeam logo. I do want to note, I can't believe that Gemini's done like 5 of these, but they've not done a single Evo Blue United 739. I just think that's a fascinating contrast for sure. Delta Airlines billboard titles, and you have Delta Airlines is the best airline of 2023 or whichever sticker that they represented there. But here's the first class, and then you got the Economy Plus and the Economy, of course, Comfort Plus in this case actually. You have the Wi-Fi box. I've flown, wow, I don't think I've flown a Delta 739. I think just 321s. Yeah, I have not flown a Delta 737, I don't think. I'm thinking here for a moment just to make sure, but I've not flown a Delta 737 unless if I'm just completely blanking out, which I very well could be. But I don't think I have, which is pretty crazy. And the fly is here to dance and enjoy the moment. So it is flown off, so there we go. But yeah, this is definitely an interesting situation. I can't believe I haven't flown one of these. I gotta change it. I'm sure I've been scheduled on one at some point, but it just hasn't happened yet. Here's the middle of the fuselage. You can definitely see the engines and the scimitars a little bit oversized, but it's not the end of the world. And I suppose that shadow made me feel like there was a paint chip there, but let me just go ahead and turn it. So no paint chip, fortunately, but you got the engine, the emergency exit hatch, not hatch, but slide there. You got the doors, you got the antenna, and then the back Wi-Fi box and the stub antenna. Wing flex is not bad on this aircraft, which is good because some of the older versions definitely had that situation going on. And then let's get a look at the back side here. Really, really good, honestly. I mean, this is definitely, my tolerance has probably went up for this mold, to be honest, since I have so many of them. But honestly, it's better. And I definitely want to get some more of the 2025 738s and 9s. I got the 700 Southwest, and that had a little bit of wing flex, but like that Aeromexico and United Star Alliance, those are good. So maybe GeminiJets will do a 739, and I'll be able to test it out there. That would be my ultimate desire, or an aircraft of similarity. But anyway, this is really good. So really good wing detail. Wi-Fi box is good. There's the emergency exit. The registration is number 5854 Delta November. And then you have the back here with the Delta Airlines tail. That looks quite nice. Make sure that's in focus there. I can't see the screen very well, so if it's not, I apologize. But I can read the registration off of the camera, so I'm assuming that it is. Let's take a look at the right side. The APU was nice on that side. I'll give you a better look over here. So yeah, right side, very good. You can see the nose cone situation again, but you got the baggage doors over here, the only main difference, and you got the back of the tail too. Top of the aircraft, very similar situation to any 737. The indentation seemed like they always get somewhat better, even though I think it's just an illusion, but more printing definitely helps, and I think that's there. You do have the Delta underbelly going strong. You got the stand hold there, and overall this looks like a really nice model. So very happy to have this in the collection. I think this was a really good addition, and Great Plains will definitely get some additional 739 relief because we have several 738s, we have several 321 variants. I definitely want to get another 319 and 320 at some point, the 320 especially because I sold my Gemini chipped one. So at some point, if I find one for a good deal, like I found that 739, I definitely want to get another 320 back, but I got two 319s, so just balancing out the Delta collection. And United, my goal is to get to 2 to 4 each, you know, just balance out the Great Plains fleet, and good steals like that are a good opportunity. I think that's I'm sorry for talking fast, everybody. I'm in the groove today. I really got it down. Recording early in the day definitely helps. But my point is, and I'll kind of slow it down from here so you all can breathe a little bit. It's really good to, you know, have these unboxings where, you know, you got the variety going on, right? So I'm definitely happy about it. Okay, a little bit of a just breathing break there because I know I was going non-stop there for a few minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next aircraft, which is very well packaged. So yeah, it's been fun with these surprises today. You know, I know that I ordered all of these. I just don't know, you know, when I see them, like, oh yeah, I ordered that today. This one was a little bit simpler to take care of. Let's see what we have in here. Okay, this is a good one. We're gonna bounce it over a little bit in the way of geography here with this aircraft. And I'm really excited to have this one. This is one of my favorite lookers, and there's certainly some very sentimental memories with this aircraft. And it's packaged up extremely well, but I got an absolute steal on this. So very excited to add this aircraft to the collection. It is an existing airline in my fleet, in multiple scales, in fact. This is the NG Models 1/400 scale Jetstar Airbus A321neo. So really excited to have this aircraft. This was just one of the aircraft when I went on my around the world trip, and Australia being the first big stop that I'd never been to before. It was just like, this aircraft looks so nice. It was my initial thought, and you know, that continues to be a valid thought up until now. So I got this for 30 bucks, another absolute steal, and Coral Sea will be very happy to see this, and I'll just enjoy looking at this. Just look at how awesome delivery is. I'm really eager to get it out, and let's take a look. So A321neo, got the Jetstars all over the back now. My mom was nice enough to get me the Jetstar 320 old livery, so I thought this would be a nice compliment and good depth for our Coral Sea rotation. All day, every day low fares, and it's literally like a better version of Frontier, in my opinion. Let me know what you all think, but I really like what Jetstar is doing. GAA26LR is the registration, so this might be a Japan one because I know they have some different branches, but regardless, it can be universally used. I'm not too picky on the registrations. 13052. And yeah, let's go ahead and see what this aircraft's all about. Does it have a card? Ah, the nose landing gear's out, darn it. So we'll have to work on that. There is no card, but the nose landing gear has been detached, which is all right. Hopefully I can at least get it propped up to where we can look at it here. That will be my goal. And yeah, the rest of it's fine. And yeah, fortunately it was a clean detach, which is the best. That's the best case scenario, because that means that it should just be able to pop in there, and it should be good for at least if I can get it situated here flat. This and Panda, these are the toughest ones. Fortunately, that's going to be much easier today, but it is really tough to get them snapped in there properly because it's such a tight squeeze. So definitely be mindful of that and just be extremely careful if that happens. So So I'm glad that I was able to get it situated here for you all. And yeah, it is a great looking model though. I'm absolutely thrilled with my decision. I think that was a great choice. Okay, yeah, it's actually fitting. The Panda one I struggled with my Allegiant. You all have probably seen that in a couple updates. The Allegiant one I've really struggled with to maximize. Okay, that seems a little dark. I'm gonna brighten this up just a little bit. Kind of tough to bounce between all these Euro whites and then the full colored liveries. And then, yeah, the camera's picking up a little bit more glare, so I'm just gonna tilt it over just a little bit. But yeah, the Jetstar A321. So very excited to have this aircraft in the fleet as well. I think this is a really high quality addition. I saw several of these in Sydney and even a few in Singapore, and I was just like, this is really an aircraft that I want to have with how nice the livery is. I think it was a really good decision. So with that being said, really thrilled to have this aircraft in the fleet today. Let's not waste any further time and go ahead and get started. Got the cockpit windows here in the nose cone, great NG mold. You have the nose landing gear in the antenna. Here's the L1 door, and you got the Jetstar titles. Quite a substantial gloss here. Just thinking about it, I think it had some gloss, but not probably this much. But I'll be sure to put some photos on the screen, kind of compare it up and give it an analysis. But regardless of the case, it still is a really good looking plane. But you have the all day, everyday low fares, which I think that's a really good slogan, and I really like that they're advertising that. But yeah, as we continue through here, they do have a little, I think it's all economy actually, because I remember I got a great deal in like 5F on the 321, and it was like, I think $8. It was phenomenal, so that was cool. But anyway, Jetstar titles look quite nice. You have the engine right there, the Neo engine, that looks really nice. And then you have the emergency exit doors, which are right there. They look pretty strong. It is worth noting that Jetstar does have several A321s and A320s too, so you'll see quite a few, and there are some hybrid liveries. One is jetstar.com, like my other model, and then there's others like Jetstar with new titles on the old livery with the gray tail. So you'll see those too. But I love the new livery with the orange star there. The orange sharklets also are wonderful. Here they are. And you have the main landing gear is there as well. I'll gotta be pretty gentle here with this, but you can see kind of some of the details. There's the L2 door, technically speaking. Easy to get confused with the 321. Again, registration is Juliet Alpha 16 Romeo Lima, I believe. Pretty unique tail number. A321neo titles are on there. And then you have the orange cheat line, which comes all the way up. And you have the Jetstar logo, which is very cool without the star titles. So I think that's pretty nice, and overall it looks really good. And I'll be very gentle here and pop it around here to the right side for y'all to take a look at. Very similar, though. The billboard titles do seem shrunk. Is that right? Yeah, those seem shrunk, but maybe it's just me. But the font size looks different. If somebody could confirm, or I'll put a picture on the screen, if that's actually how it is in real life, it's pretty interesting. But that very well could be a printing error. And the other deal, maybe it's just me too, but the registration and Airbus titles also look way smaller. Let's flip this around. Okay, I think that's just, it might just be that big of an illusion, to be completely honest. So, but that's the fun part with these models. You got to analyze and take a look. And I suppose that it's actually good enough to pick it up. So we'll just go ahead and do that, since, you know, I got it a good fit on there. Look at the detail on the wings there. It's really nice. Bottom of the aircraft looks really nice too. You got the Jetstar titles, and all that came together super well. Phenomenal model. Really glad to have it in the collection. That will certainly be a real asset at Coral Sea to utilize. So very, very, very happy with the progression of that aircraft. That's going to be a really good one. Our next aircraft is going to be XYZ. I don't know. So excited to take a look here, and looking very nice. Just a moment. And after the slight interruption, everybody, we are back in action. So again, XYZ model here, another phenomenally packaged model. So to all these eBay sellers, thank you all for being so diligent in your packing. It's definitely, you know, is a tough aspect to work with, since it takes so much effort to get the boxes open. But I'd rather have this situation than broken models. And yeah, it definitely is very helpful when we're seeing fellow collectors being so, well, diligent with their models. So that eventually transitioned to mine. So, and yours and everybody else's. So love the secondhand market. It can be really effective. Just be sure to look on eBay. 100% feedback is so important, or, you know, definitely over 90. Make sure that the seller's sold items before, so on and so forth. Sticking with the theme of, whoa, how about this? I don't know if this person knew me or not, but we have a really cool piece of the puzzle. Look at this, guys. We got Delta 100-year celebration here. Let's see if there's a note somewhere. Here we go. Look at this. I don't know if this was intentional or not. I think it was just complete generosity. But speaking of incredible collectors, look at this, my friends. So thank you so much to this person for featuring the Delta 100 years note card in there in Delta pair of wings. There's also a Delta Biz coffin here with the 100 on it. It's funny because I haven't even got those yet. So thank you so much to that person. I was just talking about it, but if it wasn't just proven, I think the universe just had a plan right there for us. So The even more incredible part is these actually got passed down the A350 flight I did recently, but I was asleep, so I'm really glad to get these. So thank you so much to this person. Hopefully he finds this video, but this is super duper cool. I'm going to be representing this. And then you have the back here. Connections like these are what makes 100 years possible. So definitely inspiring me for some more generosity. I got to be very diligent with that. So that was definitely a very ironic, incredible moment. Thank you so much for those. Very excited to have more Delta 100 years as we continue their celebration this year. And yeah, it's been a really fun year to do that. That's been a really cool aspect of the year. We'll definitely highlight that in a full video down the road. But that will definitely be a moment mentioned. That was so super duper cool. All right, everybody, next up we have the absolutely beautiful Fokker 100 for Alliance Airlines. I'm really excited to have this in the fleet here today, and I think this is going to be a really cool aircraft. Now, I was fortunate enough to get to fly one of these from Brisbane to Newcastle, which was quite a city pair. It was such a fun flight. I'm so glad I was able to make it a reality. So these are actually operated for Virgin Australia Airlines. They obviously have a large fleet of 737s and other such aircraft, but they also have Alliance as one of their subsidiaries. But the really unique part of it is that Alliance is still their own independent carrier, and they have their own livery and own pilots and crew and all that, of course. So yeah, really fascinating. But anyway, here we go. GeminiJets logo made for collectors by collectors. Here's the CGI right here, and you have Fokker 100. Here's Alliance or Fokker, however you would like to say it. And then here's the box, of course. Got this for $28. So when this initially came out, of course, several years ago, 2022? 2019. Okay. A little bit of a transition there, but anyway, whenever this came out, I, wasn't thinking of, what my future would be. So of course I didn't buy it when it was a great price, but fortunately eBay and the kindness of this person had a plan. And here is the pamphlet, and then there's the aircraft. So this is definitely a special one, and I love collecting these really unique aircraft. Maybe a 3D design deck can do me a Jetstream 32. Just playing around with fun ideas. But that was just an amazing day trip there. We got the Link 340 in there as well, and then that Jetstar A321. So that was a very sentimental day. It's one of the best days of my life for sure. I had so much fun that day. And I'm sure that more fun days will be fortunately down the pipeline. So feeling fortunate, and yeah, for fellow collectors, fellow memories, and definitely the Alliance Fokker 100. Let's get her focused. There we go. So overall looking quite nice as well. This is a very nice plane. I'm very thrilled to have it here in the collection today. This overall looks really nice, and yeah, this is just a phenomenal looking plane in so many different regards. So also shout out to Canon. My iPhone would have overheated hard by this point, and it's still at 90 degrees by 10 o'clock out here today, and it is impressive that this camera is not, it's hot, but it's holding extremely strong. So just want to give a note about that. If you're looking to do videos outside, get you a Canon DSLR, or in this case a full frame. Let's go ahead and get started with this absolute beauty. So here's the nose cone here with the cockpit windows. GeminiJets, shout out on the realism of the Fokker 100 nose. That is S tier, that is phenomenal. I think this is a relatively new mold, but man, this is cool. Like in the last 10 years, of course, like relatively speaking to some of their molds. But anyway, paneled there, you got the nose landing gear door, very detailed. And then of course, this is just the standard Fokker livery, or sorry, Alliance livery. They do have quite a few specials, and I definitely look to get some of those at some point. But anyway, there's the L1 door right there. You got the Australia flag right there, and you got the Alliance titles. There's a little bit first class on these, and the seating configuration is very unique. It is a 2-3, but the row numbers are just so weird. And then they have, I think, it might be like C through G. I'm forgetting, like my seat was G or K. It was a really interesting setup, but regardless, you can see the wings. Probably the most unique part, it reminds me of like a Cessna Citation, with the flat line there on the back. It's just very unique how that's designed. It overall is looking really cool. So you got the emergency exits there as well, along with the actual doors for them. And then you have these stubs right there on the top of the fuselage, which is really nice. Maybe I get really lucky and this is the registration I flew. I cannot tell you off the top of my head, and I don't want to spend too much time. But anyway, we got, I can't even see it. Victor Hotel, Vicar, Oscar, Charlie. Still looking really good. I bet it's within a couple tail numbers, but maybe I get really lucky and it's the same one. We'll see. But yeah, very simple livery, but the tail of course has the Alliance logo. You just have a nice little, kind of like a paper airplane or frisbee, or it's not like a hockey stick. I'm thinking kind of, I recognize it. I just can't put my finger on exactly what it is. But anyway, some sort of cool logo there. Horizontal stabilizer is also a pretty unique shape. So yeah, these are long gone in the United States. I think only Europe and Australia are the last couple places that you can fly these. They're a pretty, I hate to say dying breed, but they are definitely few and far between at this point. You have the US with the 717s, and then you have Australia with the Fokker 100s, it seems like. Fortunately, Qantas just retired their 717, so that puts it down just Delta and Hawaiian, I believe. Got the baggage doors over here as well. I will say, though, they are not making any efforts on renovating the cabins. This aircraft was wore out. It was dated, which is fine, but you definitely got to keep that in mind. So, great aircraft. Here's the bottom. You got the GeminiJets logo right there and the caddy corner registration. And then top also looks really nice. So happy to have that. That is a really clutch pickup. And yeah, that is really super duper awesome. Okay, next aircraft. Really excited to see what this one's going to be. There's one here that I'm really excited for, and I'm going to attempt to save it for the last one at this point. Yeah, okay, I think this is gonna work out. I know which one's the last one. So the last one will be a very good one, but I'm pretty confident. I think I know what this one is at this point. I might be wrong, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what we're doing here. And then honestly, whatever, there's a Airbus 319. So I think it's this one. And then the other one, I honestly can't remember what it is, which is good. I like surprises. But let's see what this is. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, this is the other one. Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember this. All right, cool. The American BAC 111 at long last. And GeminiJets 1975. It's a BAC 111, not a BAC 111. That's just a nice little inside joke. So, forward that on to GeminiJets 1975, everybody. He will be very happy to hear me say that. But anyway, here it is. The the American Airlines BAC 111. So very happy to have this one. And yeah, my goal with this American Airlines retro fleet buildup is to get aircraft that are, excuse me everybody, I apologize, to get aircraft that, you know, great price. This was $20, the sticker, so it even went for less than what it retailed at, so that just shows you how well we've done in this aircraft. It's a pretty old sticker, 2008. So my goal is to just get these cheap deals on them, and then progressively the collection will grow. So we had the MD-11 there that I finally got my hands on, and now the BAC 111, which is a completely new type here to my American fleet. And I can't think of any BAC 111s I have. I wouldn't be surprised if I have like I don't have a brand. If I think this is my first one, I might be wrong, but the happy problems about having a model collection that's too big. All right, let's get started. Typical GeminiJets box, you have that beautiful sticker right there. Here's the aircraft and American Airlines. So yeah, in 2008, Gemini was just on a roll with some of these, you know, very iconic aircraft. I believe the Fokker came out sometime in the mid-2000s as well. So that's another one that's going to be a long search. And then the Saab 340, ATR 42, ATR 72. Those are a couple of big highlight ones that I still yet to have. So I'm hopeful to get all those at some point down the road. But the BAC 111, this one's very easy to find. And Aero Classics also did a version of it too. But the Gemini one is, I don't want to say superior, but it is really nice in its polish and the landing gear details. So that is a big reason why I was really happy when I found this one. So you all know I'm not very picky, but I certainly love to take good opportunities when they're there. And I think every aircraft in this unboxing has been a very good opportunity. You could argue that the Delta's been the worst one, but I mean, but for $30 on a plane that's pretty rare, how could you complain with that? So let's not waste any time and get started with the American BAC 111. So very cool aircraft right here, looks very nice. This is obviously a very shrunk one. I honestly don't know too much about American's operation with the BAC 111, although I can definitely tell you that, you know, it's kind of like, it's like a small DC-910, but also, you know, it even has some regional jet vibes to it. It's still a really nice aircraft at the very least. That is a great contrail. That looks like a Delta 739. Let me just take a moment here to take a look at what that is real quick, if you all don't mind. Oh, it was a Delta A350 to Seoul. Nice. I knew that looked pretty big and I could hear it. That's really cool. So there goes the Delta flight to Seoul on time. We'll land 40 minutes early here, like 12 hours. So that's very cool. All right, let's continue here with this American BAC 111. So very cool aircraft. This is obviously an Astrojet livery, which is another cool aspect of this, is I don't have too many Astrojet aircraft. So very happy with this. Why are we gonna waste any further time when we could just go ahead and get started with the aircraft? Yeah, let me see if I can get this a little bit more level. I'm just gonna drop the tripod just a little bit because I can tell that it's a little off. All right, there it is, the American BAC 111. Let's get started. Okay, so we have the nose right here, very good shape, and I think it says Astrojet. That's what it looks like. But anyway, you have the cockpit windows right here. The beautiful orange sheet line starts and it zigs. Here's the L1 door and the nose landing gear as well. Just overall great detail. Here's the L1 door. American Airlines titles literally take the entire fuselage with how small this aircraft is. I can even fit it into the full frame right there. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? So yeah, I don't know how many seats, 60? 50, 60? I don't know. I'm sure that box probably would tell me. Here, I can check it out real quick. Let me see. Don't let it fall off the table. It's gonna make it a little tough. 89. Man, that is quite a few. It must be a 2-3 in there. Wow. That is impressive that you can fit 89 people on that short of an aircraft. I don't think it's 3-3. If anybody knows any more details, let me know. But this is definitely a little history lesson here for me today. But anyway, it looks really nice. You got the wing detail there, which is really cool. Let me show you all that a little bit more, and the emergency exit there too. There is the engines. They look really nice, and you also have the actual cowlings there. There's the nose that also looks really nice. So very happy with the details right there. And here's the right side of the aircraft. Since we're already here, we'll look at the 2 baggage doors, and you got the engines, registrations, November, I literally can't see, 5403, 5043 maybe. There's the Astrojet logo there on the tail, and then yeah, really neat tail fin design. It reminds me of the C5. I saw one recently, and I was like, yeah, that tip piece here really reminds me of the C5. But what a really neat little aircraft. This is definitely going to be cool just to feature, you know, in random airports and, you know, projects down the road. But I think this is a really clutch pickup, especially for 20 bucks. I mean, how could you ever beat that? So very happy with the results there, and definitely really eager to see what happens next there with that aircraft. So that's really, really super duper cool. All right, the next aircraft, I believe we have the order correct here for here on out. Another very highly desired duplicate, this one even more than the Delta 739, but I'm really eager to get this aircraft because it's not uncommon to see. This is really the future at one of my airports, several probably, but this is really a just precautionary pickup because I actually sold my other one several years ago that I had the duplicate of for well over $85. I think it was almost 100 bucks I sold that for, and I bought it for 40. So when I saw this for 30 with just a slight deficiency, I said I need this immediately because the deficiency is not visible unless if you have it, you have to look for it to see it. And there it is, everybody. Super excited to have that back in the fleet. This is my new duplicate United A319 Evo Blue livery. So really excited to have this. This is one of my favorite models. I really hope to see NG, Panda, or another company make a new version of it. I am kicking myself because I had the Aero Classics, that one wasn't very good, but I'm pretty sure Panda made a version of this too, and it is nearly impossible to find, which I would be happy to take it, I just can't find it. But anyway, that aside, let me talk about the reason that this is so important as I get it out of yet again another beautifully packaged box. So the big part on this one is the big picture of Tulsa. It's pretty common for Tulsa to get 2 United A319s. So I'm gonna have to bring this off camera to even get a chance at getting it, but I think I'm gonna get it here. So yeah, United's getting 2 A319s, and I've done good with my Continental Globe, but that's not gonna be a long-term solution. This is a long-term solution. You know, I was prepared for it. I had 2 of them at one point, but you know, again, it was a great price, so I sold it and I net gained profit, and I took that money and just flipped it right back into this. Again, there is a small deficiency. To me, it's not a huge deal. I really don't think that it should be considered a big deal. I mean, you can't even see it from here, so it's not that big. Now, it is missing an antenna. That's a bummer. That's news to me. I did not see that, but it's still worth it in my opinion. So the big deficiency is just that small glue chip right there, as you can see. But yeah, the antenna is news. I'm gonna really take a good look for that, make sure that it's not here, because that definitely is a bummer. But maybe this is going to be my opportunity and sign to work towards an antenna, getting an antenna. But I'll still be able to use this, and I do have a couple of Gemini antennas that I can flip between planes. It is certainly not an ideal strategy, but you know, sometimes you got to take what you can get, and that is my best option right now. Anyway, still, regardless, I will definitely use it. I'll just see if I can put the canopy up to it, facing this way at the gate maybe, and that will make it a little bit harder to tell that it's missing that. But yeah, we have a pretty good condition United Airlines A319 Evo Blue. So 40 bucks, I thought it was a very good deal, again, considering the rarity of this aircraft. And who knows, I'm sure at some point maybe NG can kick it in the gear and finally do it. Panda could do one. There's quite a few options, but Attitude models as well. Quite a few options, but anyway, let's not waste any further time and go ahead and get started with the aircraft. Here we go, everybody. Cockpit windows here along with the nose cone. Here's the various titles right here. And you got the L1 door and Star Alliance logo. Here is the nose landing gear as well. And then you have the actual antenna where it's supposed to go, and hopefully it'll be back there at some point soon. First class, and you have Economy Plus and Economy. I've flown a good few of these, and definitely more coming up here. As I was mentioning, Tulsa's really doing well with the United A319s and quite a few 320s and even a couple 737s too, depending on the month. So definitely want to be prepared for the future of this beautiful bus. Here is the middle of the aircraft here. You can see those engines, those IAEs. They're really stunning. They look really nice. So very happy with the details there, and I think it's a really cool piece of the puzzle. And the wing root detail, take a look at that. But yeah, a little bit of fading there on the nose, but ultimately it is really in pretty good condition. I just really could use an antenna, and then we're really going to be in pretty good shape. Main landing gear also look quite nice. Very cool, and you got the stand hold there too. Here is the rear of the aircraft where the antennas are in good shape. You have the tail fin right there. Registration is November 876 Uniform Alpha. It does seem like there's a little bit of scratching, or not scratching, but wear. It feels like it was probably used pretty heavily, but you know, I can definitely recover this aircraft. Just gonna take one antenna and we're really gonna be there. APU horizontal stabilizers, but yeah, this is a really good piece of the puzzle if you want a high quality, no deficiency aircraft, which most of them, as you can tell, usually come like this. But on eBay, just really be precautious of the listing. Really look at the pictures. Do not hesitate to ask the the seller for more pictures. You know, just have reasonable expectations. In other words, I think that really sets the tone. And you know, my expectations were getting a pretty good condition United A319. I wouldn't say that's like new, but I would say that it's used condition, and that's what I wanted. So you can definitely see that there's definitely some wear on it, but again, it's not a huge problem to me. My big goal is to get a little bit closer than what I had to representing this at TUL, both the Evo 319s, and I would say that it was worth picking up $40 for my sale previously to get it. And who knows, maybe I could even consider getting another one of these. I can keep fleet building. So there's the underside GeminiJets logo, and you got the various details. Now again, both engines were glued on at some point, and the seller did a phenomenal job getting those back on. It looks like it wasn't even touched, and that's why I'm so happy with it. So one antenna away, and this aircraft's definitely going to be back to as good as new. So very happy about that, and overall this is a really good one. Now the next aircraft really is going to start a brand new era here on my channel. There's several DFW international wide bodies that have changed over time, some of which are new airlines, others of which are just aircraft changes. So I'm really excited to keep working towards the progress on this project. This is really going to be the defining moment for it. There's other A350s particularly that I need to get, but this A350 I'm really excited for. This is a really cool piece of the puzzle, and this will be great for when Dallas returns, and also Great Plains will finally have a realistic wide body for this airline. I've had one of these aircraft. I've had an aircraft from this airline before, but it was not a modern one, so I was hoping that I would get a modern one, and this is my opportunity if the box will be, you know, cooperative. And of course I dropped what I need. But yeah, this is just going to take just a moment here, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I hope you all have enjoyed the video very much. I think this has been one of my definitely best massive unboxings of 2025 in terms of aircraft variety, and also my my talking ability here. My efficiency has definitely been on point today, maybe even a little too fast, but we're balancing it out. Nice to record out here in the mornings. I'll definitely do as much as that as I can in the future, because you know it does take some setup time, but considering the results, I think it's definitely worth it. As you can tell, this once again, we're finishing strong here with this, and then there'll probably be one or two more models in a separate clip, so you can expect that separate clip to come out right after I unbox this model here. But in real time, it'll be a couple weeks from now when I do my next clip here. Anyway, enough. Oh my gosh, boxes are flying everywhere, but the models are on the table, so come on, crying out loud. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about right there. That is beautiful. After a fight to get it, we have the Aviation 400 Cathay Pacific A350-1000. Welcome to Dallas-Fort Worth Cathay Pacific. They started in April. I caught their second arrival, and the first of which on 1/8 left, so I don't want to say I missed too much, but it was much better to get it that. From 1/8 left than the 1/3 arrival, inaugural arrival on 1/3 right. Air traffic control really playing games with everybody. But anyway, really excited to have this aircraft. This is a really high quality one, and this is going to be gorgeous at the One World gates at Great Plains, but Dallas, of course, like I said. And you know, this is a focal point for Dallas moving forward. This is already going to go to a daily service, which shows how successful Cathay's been. And yeah, just a nice piece, because this was an American route previously to Hong Kong. Pandemic got it, but we are back and better than ever, and Cathay's a brand new airline to Dallas, and they are performing very well. Let's finish it out here strong. Cathay Pacific, here's the CGI Airbus A350-1000. So yeah, this is going to be my next detachable landing gear Aviation 400. I previously just got the Delta LA-28, so anytime I get a chance to use Aviation 400, you bet that I'm going to do it. So really happy to do it here, and this is going to be a good one. Camera's so hot, it needs a break. Well, it will get one here very soon. Very nice. Okay, actually, I suppose there is no detachable landing gear, which is honestly fine by me. I rarely use it anyway. But this must have been a release right before they changed the mold over, so. But hey, I ain't complaining. What I love to see is that absolute unit. The international fleet continues to grow, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no doubt that this and then my two next big, I don't want to say white whales, that's aggressive, but my next two big aircraft I would like to get, my next two milestone aircraft are going to be the Fiji A350-900 and the Japan A350-1000. Both those are high on the radar. But anyway, absolute unit. Cathay Pacific A350-1000. That is elite. I really just got to take a moment to look at that. I'm so glad that was the last aircraft. Started hot with the American MD-11 from Panda, ending hot with the Cathay 350 from Aviation 400. Phenomenal. That's gorgeous. Let's just go ahead and take a look. I mean, how could you beat this aircraft? This is absolutely S tier. Cockpit windows with nose cone. Got some panel detail right here. That's really nice. And you got the nose landing gear right here. Here's the Cathay logo, and you got the L1 door, Cathay Pacific titles. So Cathay's a pretty unique airline in their operations and how they operate. They have quite a wide variety. The big picture for Cathay, kind of similar to Emirates, is they just have so many wide bodies. It's a really crazy amount. Now, I know they do have some feeder carriers that have some of the smaller planes, but I know that Cathay's actual airline, their Cathay Pacific, I think they have 321neos, and that might be it. I don't think they have any other narrow bodies, which is crazy. But A350s, you got both variants. You have the Boeing 777-300s, and they had 200s. I'm not sure if they still do. And then I don't think they have 787s, so I think it's those two are the big ones right there. And A330s, Airbus A330s. Anyway, first class and business class up here. You obviously have the very lengthy A350-1000 fuselage, which is great. You have the 3D beacon here, one of the best parts of the aircraft, and the antenna, some additional details. And then the landing gear is also beautiful. Just take a look at that. That is stunning in so many ways. It is rolling, which is nice. Of course, not detachable, but that's not a problem at all. This aircraft, once again, was made before that. I got this for $45, by the way, so that's why I was so freaking excited. $45 is a steal, in my opinion. Here's the fuselage right here. You can see where the ring grid is. Seamless, smooth. Great job on the color, by the way. There's the tan engines, light aqua, whatever you want to call them. They look really cool. And then you have the overwing there, and that's where the premium economy, economy plus, and economy is all going. So really cool. I would love to fly the Dallas flight one day. The times are pretty rough, but hey, I would still be delighted to do it at some point. Maybe going eastbound would be make some sense because of how long it is. You could probably actually do some decent sleeping there. Westbound, it starts super late at night. Sorry, I'm being precautious. We got to be in the proximity, so I just need to be ready to jump if it comes my way, because we had a wasp in the last unboxing, and there it goes. Okay, cool. That's why you always just stay put. Don't instigate the situation, and usually it'll take care of itself. All right, so very good looking plane right here. Here's the wing root once again. You have the beautiful sharklets. They're really nice. Look at the curvature, man. That is impressive. And here's a look at the back side. That's just extremely good detail. And then you have the Cathay logo on the inside. There you go. You can see it now. Yeah, we'll just flip over to the right side. Might as well, since we're already here. So we have the cargo door on the front and the back. And then you have the swirl title right there. I believe that's the China flag. I might be wrong, but anyway. So the antenna in the middle, and then you got the Wi-Fi box antenna in the back. Registration is Bravo Lima X-Ray Kilo. And then probably the coolest part is that beautiful Cathay Pacific logo on the tail. It looks super nice, and overall just phenomenal detail. Landing gear do pivot, so this is going to be a very nice addition to go with my Qatar A350 and the Delta. But the Qatar definitely, at Dallas, I can line these up next to each other. Both Aviation 400, both have 3D beacons and all the details. And yeah, let's look at the top and bottom of this aircraft to round it out strong. So top of the aircraft, very nice detail. Again, indentations look pretty good. Bottom, very nice. You got the 3D beacon down there as well with the catty corner registration. And yeah, just take a look at that. So overall, phenomenal. What a segment of the video, everybody. Really hope you all enjoyed this. What we're going to do now is we'll transition inside, and we will also, from the transition inside, we'll have a couple more models, and then we'll do a roundup. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next models. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. So it has been a couple weeks, but nevertheless, we are here, and I went ahead and got this box ready to go. As you all can tell, it kind of was a challenging one, but nevertheless, we have our next model in here. Really excited to take a look at this, and this will be a very cool grand finale. I think this is a really good one. So quite a bit of packing going on here with towels and bubble wrap and pretty much all what this eBay seller could find, which is all good. But in here we have the very exciting, been wanting this for a very long time. This is a pretty rare model. This one is very challenging to come across in this particular livery. It is the Aero Classics 1:400 scale Northwest Airlines Doubles DC-910 in the bowling shoe livery. So this release is challenging. I've been looking for this for well over 3 years. Really excited to finally get my hands on it. I got it for $40. So it just, the quantity was so low. Anytime these Aero Classics boxes have a different design that's not kind of the global one, this one particularly is the orange one. I have a couple like this. They end up becoming very challenging to find. So was really happy when this came across and surfaced, and of course I picked it up immediately. So very excited to have this aircraft, and this will have huge implications for that TUL to Memphis service, as this and the Saab 340 were the workhorses. The Saab 340 will continue to be a long-term project, but we are getting started here right after the Republic merger with the bowling shoe DC-9. So Aero Classics DC-9. The Republic hybrid livery is much easier to find, and I've thought about settling for that, and I probably still will even get it just for rotation, but the more common aircraft for the late 80s was this particular plane. So very excited to have this, and this will be really cool. It eventually moved over to the Saab 340 before its termination. Delta even flew it at one time for a brief period, which is very cool, but nevertheless, this will be a more accurate representation for the time frame, which is quite important because this was Northwest's launch at the airport, was when they merged with Republic. Republic started this service just a few years prior to the merger, so it makes sense why now we have this beautiful aircraft. So let me go ahead and scoot it up. Of course, it's not the grandest mold and so forth. It is an accurate one, but obviously it has this really obvious indentation in the wing, but it's not a bad feature by any means. It's just a, you know, real representation of what the model is. So here it is, very nice model. I have the, it is the Texas International DC-910. That's the exact same mold. It's a pretty interesting one. So without any further delay, let's not waste any further time and go ahead and take a look at this pretty unique offering here by Aero Classics. Okay, starting up here on the front, we have the cockpit windows right here and the nose cone. It's looking quite nice. Here's the nose landing gear, and then of course the bowling shoe livery. You have the red on top, the gray in the middle, and then the white underbelly. I don't have many bowling shoe aircraft. I think I had the 727 briefly before I handed that off to JJ, and I think I may have a 7.5 and maybe, I don't know what else I have. I don't have many if I do have any. So it is really cool to have this here. And then you have the fleet code down here. Here's the L1 door right here. And these aircraft were just so popular because of their seating capacity. This was kind of, not completely, but kind of like the Embraer 175 of this time frame. So it obviously was seen all around. So obviously the stub DC-9, the 30 was the most popular, but the 10s were also very, very large workhorses as well. So you can see kind of where the seats were here. I believe it was still a 2-3. Northwest titles right here. You got the US flag, and then you have the middle fuselage piece here. As I noted earlier, it has that pretty noticeable crease, especially in the front, but not a huge deal, just an observation. And then you have the one emergency exit over the wing right here, and then registration's over 9348. I'm not sure where they got some of these prefixes from, but nevertheless, they are pretty fascinating for sure. The wing root, not too much detail here, but certainly more than adequate for what I'm looking to represent here. It's an adequate representation of the aircraft. Here are the engines here in the back. They're very powerful for the frames, so you'd see these rocketing off immediately. So that was certainly noteworthy. And the clamshell reversers also found back there. There's the fleet code again, 9348, and then you have the small NWA logo, which I think this was probably definitely the most iconic livery. Whether the best, that's subjective, but I really do like the appearance of it. So you do have the rudder back there, horizontal stabilized APU, and the rounded off APU, that is, which is quite cool. Still looking very good. Taking a look at the right side of the aircraft, you have the smaller R1 door, the rest of the fuselage here, and it looks really nice, 9348 once again, and the tailpiece, which is looking quite nice. Definitely going to want to take a look at the top and the bottom of this aircraft, which the top is pretty simple. There's not too many crazy notes. You can see a painted beacon, but the bottom is very interesting in that this was a screw design. So not many models have this in diecast realm. You actually, this bottom portion of the fuselage, which is actually this wingtip, and I think it goes back to here per the appearance. I might experiment with it sometime. Actually has a Phillips up screw attached to it, which is not very common, and this was one of the coolest parts of these aircraft, is while the appearance is a little tough there on that insert piece, they didn't come broken, which was pretty cool, typically that is. So yeah, quite a unique model, super cool one to finish it out today. Let's go ahead and line up all these aircraft and take a look at this really cool assortment of aircraft from Massive Unboxing 66. Alrighty, everybody, let's go ahead and take a look at this amazing lineup of aircraft right here, starting with the Airlines Fokker 100, a very special aircraft, so certainly really happy to add this to the collection today, and it's going to be a really neat plane to use in Coral Sea. Likewise, we have the Jetstar A321neo, another very good deal here on eBay, and certainly really happy to get to feature this here in the collection now, so looking very nice, a very good combo. Finally got some really needed US duplicates here, Delta 737-900ER. This is already proven powerful, I'm sure, so very happy to get to feature this. Likewise, for yet another United Airlines Airbus A319, a very challenging model to come across, so certainly really happy to add this to the collection as well. The Northwest DC-9, this is another nice aircraft here, really good variety of aircraft. Nice to have the retro offerings in here, and this one very much needed, so really cool to finally get in. This will be featured many times down the road. Same for the American BAC 111. This is definitely another very good aircraft to have and such a good price, so really happy to continue to get that fleet buildup going. And then of course get the American Airlines MD-11. This is a really good looking plane, so I think it's definitely a really quality addition here today. Panda did a great job, and no doubt same answer for the Cathay Airbus A350-1000. This is a highly detailed aircraft, amazing beacons, so how could you beat this? This is just really great. So overall, a very nice diverse lineup here. I really hope all of you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But nevertheless, that'll do for today's video. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do you love and love you do, my CM Aviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. CM Aviation is signing off.